What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Comeback Player. This is video number 3, I think. Is that it? Wow. Hey, real quick, thank you everybody who has tuned in to watch the videos. I am amazed at the number of views I've been getting, the number of subscribers, the number of comments in the chats. It's just incredible how many people are comeback players, or at least interested in comeback players. Actually made some notes so I could keep track of what I wanted to say this time. So real quick, I heard from a comeback player, actually not a comeback player, a brand new player from Turkey. And it got me really thinking about the opportunities that I had for learning music here in the United States versus what other folks go through in other countries. You hear those stories all the time. I started in 4th or 5th grade. That's about when most kids are told they can join band, and here, come to band night and pick an instrument, and that's how most kids start. And I don't know if those same opportunities exist in other countries. And so I'm curious about folks from Turkey or Australia or Europe or Asia or any of these places. I'm just kind of curious how introduction to music and playing musical instruments goes in those countries. What I'd like to do on future videos is interview other comeback players, not necessarily from other countries. The US is fine, but I'd love to hear about your journey into how you started playing, why you stopped playing, and now your reintroduction to playing and the challenges that you're seeing. Because I think the more other folks hear about, I'm not alone going through these challenges, the more reassuring it can be that, hey, I'm still on the right track. I mean, I think the more of us that can get together and share experiences publicly on videos will help others realize, hey, I'm not alone in this struggle, and some of these things I'm going through, others are going through, and maybe their ideas will help me, maybe they won't. But hey, at least we can all get the word out and just kind of band together as some comeback players. So if you're interested in that, please leave a comment below and we'll schedule a Zoom meeting, or I think Zoom or Skype, whatever you have, we'll figure it out. So in the comments for the first couple of videos, there have been a lot of folks just saying, hey, I'm in a similar situation. And then there's a lot of folks saying, hey, you should try blank. And after the first 2 or 3 of those, I kind of quit reading them. So I appreciate you commenting, and I appreciate you sharing advice in the comments, because others might get some help out of that. But it was confusing me a lot based on what I was using from my own memory. Plus, I've got a private teacher now, and what we've been chatting about and other YouTube videos, Charlie Porter. Someone mentioned Charlie Porter, and I watch a lot of Charlie's videos. The Mystery to Mastery guy, I forgot his name, but he's from Australia. He's got some interesting thoughts. And so, I mean, I've been watching a lot of videos, and they don't always line up either. And I don't know. I've decided to kind of focus on my comeback on my memory, plus what my private instructor is working with me on, and less on the YouTube videos and the comments. So I still want you to leave them. Just understand when you don't see me following your advice, because I'm not really reading those, because I think it's just going to confuse me in my comeback playing. So, but thank you. So my private teacher, his name's Jacob. He's from Tennessee Tech University. One of the students there, that was recommended to me by the trumpet instructor at the university. And we sat down for our first lesson last week. We've got another one coming up this week. And it was real good. The first one was just kind of a get to know you sort of thing. We worked on embouchure problems a little bit, and then it was more of an evaluation, so he could see where I am and figure out what he needs to do in his lesson planning to help me out. This video I'm entitling "Don't Let Your Brain Get in the Way," or whatever I titled it, something like that. Don't overthink things, because that's what I found I was doing this week. I was overthinking everything, from how you hold the horn. This is where some of those videos got into to play because I was seeing videos where someone said, "Oh, you should hold the horn like this, or you should hold the horn like that, or you should hold it like that." And I got to it. I spent 15 minutes just not being able to remember how to hold this thing. And so when I quit thinking about it and it just fell back into the natural grip that I use, and life was good after that. I was overthinking how fast or slow to practice, how long or short to practice, how loud or soft to practice. I was just overthinking everything. And it was like, just relax, have fun. Don't overthink things. Just let everything go and focus on the basics. And so that's what I did. So here's how it went this week. We'll start with my warm up routine this week. And I don't have a standard. I'm going to work with Jacob, my instructor, on that. But I started this week just long tones and then getting into some slurring. I was really focused on trying to get good tone out of the trumpet this week. Less air, good tone. And I noticed that when I warmed up a little longer without really trying to force myself into some of the exercises, I got better tone throughout the rest of the practice. And so I was really focusing this week on just a good, solid warm-up practice session this week based on what Jacob and I discussed. He wanted me to work on out of the Clark book, the first study, exercise number 7. In the Clark book, it says get through it 8 to 16 times or something. I've still got a ways to go, but it's getting better. So then I also worked on the Arbin book. Jacob wanted me to do the first studies in there, exercises 1 and 2. These are long tones again. And this is where I really started overthinking the breathing because Arbin puts in the breath marks for where you should breathe, at least in these early studies. I haven't looked too far ahead in the book, but so just long tones. And I was going at about the pace of 1, 2, 3, 4. And Arbin says, take a breath. But I didn't need to take a breath. I could have played 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those whole notes at the pace I was going without having to take a breath. And I started overthinking, well, should I, shouldn't I, should I, and then when I got my brain out of the way and said, just relax and play what's written. And so I do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that I still feel like I'm taking in too much air. My breaths are like really small there. And then I'm blowing again. But I felt better just playing what was written and not overthinking things, getting my brain out of the way. So then I started, after those two, after the Clark and the Arbin, I would work on my music reading. And I was working on a tune this week out of the Standard of Excellence book, the Basic Trumpet, number 1, whatever it is, the first book. And it was number 143. And this one was an exercise for dotted quarter note followed by an eighth note into other things. Today, as I was filming this practice round, it's sounding a little better. I think I've got the general feel of the 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1. And so that one was feeling better. Then one of the things I always struggled with in school was sight reading. We did a lot of that at the solo and ensemble competition. Hey, you don't do that solo and ensemble. Whatever, the band competitions, we did a lot of sight reading. And I never felt comfortable with that. And I feel like I should have been better. I was good at reading music. I feel like I should have been better at sight reading. So I've determined from the get-go here as I reteach myself to include sight reading in a lot of my practices. And so what I do is I take that book, that Standard of Excellence, and I turn the page to something I haven't seen before and just practice my sight reading techniques. And from what I was taught in high school, sing through it. I don't have perfect pitch, so I probably, when it says G, A, C, I'm probably not at G, A, C, but at least I've got a pretty good idea. And it helps me get the idea of the syncopation and everything else that's in there. So sing through it. And then play through it the first time. It kind of gives me the baseline. This is where you are. First time reading the music, first time playing the music. This is how good/bad you were. And then I'll play through it a few more times until I'm feeling pretty good about it. Not mistake free, but feeling pretty good about it. Hoping that level between the first one and the last one, the first one where it's first time sight reading and I don't feel very good about it, to the last one where I'm feeling okay about it, gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. When I start wrapping up my practice session, but I do a couple more things. One is, I call it my range exercise, but it's not really a range exercise. It's just kind of seeing what the top note is I can comfortably reach. And I usually either slur my way up there or do a quick scale, like a C major up there, just to see which note I can comfortably reach and which note I might be able to reach uncomfortably. That's coming along. So my range is getting higher. Then I work on seeing how low I can get. That G is always a struggle for me. Today, I was getting it. It was real airy and not a real good tone, but I was getting there where most times I couldn't get there at all. I mean, it wasn't even a bad sound. It's just my lips wouldn't buzz, wouldn't move trying to get that note. So today I was getting it. And so that's kind of how I start wrapping up the practice, seeing the highest note I can reach, seeing the lowest note I can reach, and not overdoing it. It's not like I'm sitting there for 10 minutes just trying to pump out that high G, high A, seeing if I can even touch a B or a high C. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to overkill it. It's just a curiosity thing to see if I'm getting better and the embouchure's strengthening up and the air is getting stronger and I can reach some of those notes. So then the final thing I did today is go back to that first Clark study and redo number 7, just because it's in a range. It's C to an A or G flat, low C to G flat in the middle of the staff there, and up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's a real comfortable range where the lips aren't working super hard. So then I just run through that a couple more times and that's it. And my practice is over. And today it took me, I think it was 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. And I felt good. Lips felt like they had worked, but weren't in pain or tired or tingly or anything. But I could tell that I had worked them out. And so that felt good. So my takeaways from this week for myself, and maybe they'll help you too, is to remember to stop overthinking. relax and have fun. This whole thing, this whole music world is supposed to be fun. And I keep having to tell myself that when I start overthinking things and get stressed about, oh, I'm not progressing fast enough this way or that way or something. Just relax and have fun. And if I'm having a problem with a particular piece and it's not fun, work on it for a few minutes, but then go play something that I know I can play. Go back into that standard of excellence book to something a little easier from last week. Then I know I got down pretty good and play that and have fun with it. So that's one takeaway. That's the big takeaway. Stop overthinking things. Get the brain out of the way. My tone is sounding better, I think. So that's good. Embouchure's feeling stronger. So that's real good. My sight reading is slowly getting better. I noticed today it took, I want to say 3 or 4 times before I felt like I was feeling okay with that. And again, these are just simple tunes out of a beginner trumpet book. So, I mean, it is what it is at this point, but that's where I am. And so I feel like my sight reading is getting better, at least in this book. And then my range is slowly improving as well. So there we go. Pretty good week, pretty good practice session today. And definitely motivated to keep going. So my second lesson with Jacob is coming up this week and lots more practice. And I will see you all in the next video. Remember to keep commenting and share your advice, even though I'm not going to follow it, but others might, and it might help others. So, and then again, if you want to be interviewed, just real quick, 10, 15 minutes, we'll set it up after work sometime, an afternoon and evening, whatever works for you and me, and we'll figure it all out. And we can just share some stories and just keep this comeback player community going and getting to know everybody and encouraging everybody and just having fun with one another. So thank you, and I will see you on the next video. Let's go practice.